The 1970s weren't just about muscle cars with flashy paint jobs and loud exhausts. Hidden beneath the surface of family sedans, station wagons, and luxury coupes were some of the most unassuming beasts of the decade. These were cars that didn't look like much until they left everything else in the dust. They were the quiet assassins of the streets, sleeper cars. You wouldn't give them a second glance parked at the grocery store, but on a highway, they could embarrass a Corvette or a Charger without breaking a sweat. Today, we're diving into 10 ultimate sleeper cars of the 1970s that most people have never even heard of. But once you do, you'll never look at these underdogs the same way again. 1. 1973 Chevrolet Chevelle Laguna 454. The 1973 Chevelle Laguna is usually overlooked because it came out during the time when insurance regulations and emissions were choking American performance. But here's the twist. Chevy offered this unassuming family cruiser with a 454 cubic inch V8 engine. That's right, the same displacement you find in more aggressive muscle cars of the era. It looked like a grocery getter with its chrome bumpers and conservative design, but under the hood was a torque monster capable of laying waste to more popular rivals. The Laguna wasn't flashy. It was the guy in the back of the room with calloused knuckles. In 1973, everyone was mourning the death of the muscle car, but the Chevelle Laguna was quietly flexing with 245 horsepower and a massive 500 pound-feet of torque in the LS4 configuration. It was a pure definition of walk softly and carry a big stick. It didn't scream performance, but it sure could perform when provoked. Stick around, because coming up is a luxury coupe that could eat Mustangs for breakfast, and no one saw it coming. 2. 1970 Buick GS 455 Stage 1. From the outside, the 1970 Buick GS 455 looked like a typical luxury coupe your uncle would drive to church on Sundays. Soft suspension, a comfy interior, and Buick's gentleman's ride image didn't scream performance. But under the hood, it packed one of the biggest torque monsters of the era. The Stage 1 version of the GS 455 produced a staggering 510 pound-feet of torque and 360 horsepower. That torque figure was more than any other American production car at the time. It could sprint to 60 miles per hour in just over 5 seconds, which was blazingly fast for a car that looked like a retiree's cruiser. It even had air conditioning and all the luxury trimmings, making it the perfect disguise for speed. When people pulled up next to it at a stoplight, they had no idea they were about to get smoked. And the best part, it didn't need loud decals or aggressive styling to prove anything. Let's be real, there's something way cooler about beating someone in a race with a car they laughed at first. That's what makes sleepers like this so legendary. 3. 1978 Volvo 242 GT with turbo swap. Alright, here's one for the true gearheads. Volvo in the 1970s wasn't exactly known for lighting up the streets, but in the hands of some enthusiasts, that changed real fast. The 1978 Volvo 242 GT was built for handling and was light on its feet, but it was the prime candidate for a sleeper build thanks to its rugged construction and RBD layout. Enthusiasts started swapping in turbocharged engines from the 240 Turbo series, and even stuffing in V8s with surprising ease. The result? A steel box that looked like it belonged in a high school parking lot, but which could obliterate Camaros and Mustangs without breaking a sweat. Even in its factory GT trim, it had sportier suspension, better brakes, and tighter steering, making it a scalpel in disguise. But once you dropped in a turbocharged engine, it went from quirky Euro to legit street predator. The best part? Almost nobody saw it coming. Hit that like button if you're loving these sleeper surprises, because what's coming up next is a Mercedes-Benz that could outrun American muscle. 4. 1979 Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL 6.9. Yes, you heard that right. A Mercedes-Benz from the 1970s made the sleeper list. And it's not just some fancy import. The 450 SEL 6.9 was Germany's middle finger to the muscle car world. At first glance, it looked like a diplomat's limo, large, luxurious, and utterly unassuming. But underneath its stately body was a monstrous 6.9-liter V8 engine, hand-built, no less, that could do 0 to 60 in just over 7 seconds. In the late 70s, that was scorching. It had hydropneumatic self-leveling suspension, high-speed stability, and brakes that could haul a freight train to a stop. This car was designed to cruise at Autobahn speeds for hours, and it could hang with American muscle despite weighing over 4,000 pounds. No spoilers, no stripes, just straight-up performance in a tuxedo. If James Bond ever wanted to drag race, this was his car. Feeling shocked yet? Just wait till we talk about the Oldsmobile that packed a punch with almost zero street credit. 5. 1970 Oldsmobile Rally 350. Here's the deal. Everyone remembers the 442, but almost no one talks about the Oldsmobile Rally 350. And that's a shame, because this bright yellow machine was sneaky fast. Designed as a budget-friendly alternative to the big block muscle cars, it featured a 350 cubic inch rocket V8 pushing 310 horsepower. But don't let the small engine fool you. It was still quick and surprisingly agile thanks to its lighter weight. What made the Rally 350 special was its all-yellow paint job, including the bumpers, making it visually unique, yet still not widely recognized as a true muscle car. That made it perfect sleeper territory. While everyone else was chasing Hemis and LS6, the Rally 350 flew under the radar, ready to throw hands if challenged. It was underrated, overlooked, and misunderstood, which is exactly what makes a sleeper so dangerous. If this is the first time you're hearing about the Rally 350, just wait. We've got a station wagon coming up that'll completely blow your mind. 6. 1973 Pontiac Grand Am 455. Think Pontiac in the 70s and you probably picture a Trans Am or GTO. But the Grand Am, that's a car that's barely mentioned, even though it had serious performance potential. The 1973 Grand Am was Pontiac's answer to combining European road manners with American muscle. It came with an optional 455 cubic inch V8, making 250 net horsepower and gobs of torque. That may sound modest today, but remember, these were net ratings after emission controls. It still had plenty of firepower. The Grand Am had a sport-tuned suspension, heavy-duty parts, and disc brakes, all wrapped in a fairly anonymous-looking body. It looked more like a personal luxury car than a muscle machine, which is why it worked so well as a sleeper. Pulling up next to one of these in the 70s, most drivers would never know what hit them when it launched off the line. Here's a challenge. Try spotting one today. They're rare, mean, and completely forgotten, just the way sleepers like it. 7. 1970 AMC Rebel Machine. Now this one almost broke into mainstream fame, but never quite got the love it deserved. AMC was always the underdog of Detroit's Big Three battle, but the 1970 Rebel Machine was their mic drop moment. With a 390 cubic inch V8 pushing 340 horsepower and a unique cold air induction hood, this car was a drag strip brawler. It could hit 60 in 6.4 seconds, on par with the biggest names in the business. And while the machine came in a loud red, white, and blue paint job initially, most were ordered in solid colors, making them look surprisingly tame. That's where the sleeper magic happened. A beige Rebel Machine could pass for a regular mid-sized sedan, but with the heart of a warrior. AMC engineered it to embarrass bigger brands at half the price. It was the people's muscle car, rough, rowdy, and ready for a fight. Ever heard the phrase, "Don't judge a book by its cover"? The Rebel Machine is that saying on four wheels. 8. 1971 AMC Hornet SC/360. You might have completely forgotten the American Motors Corporation even existed, but AMC had some serious tricks up their sleeve. The Hornet SC/360 was one of those tricks, built to be a compact economy car, but secretly injected with muscle DNA. On the outside, it looked like a budget commuter, something your high school principal might have driven. But this version came with a 360 cubic inch V8 engine, pushing out 245 horsepower. And in 1971, 245 horsepower in a small car was no joke. AMC even offered a Go package that added performance goodies like a 4-barrel carb, beefed-up suspension, and dual exhaust, 0 to 60, just over 6 seconds, in a Hornet. This was a time when the Mustang and Camaro were hogging all the attention, so AMC quietly released a car that could take them by surprise, and they priced it aggressively too. It's the kind of underdog story you love to hear, and honestly, there's something glorious about dusting a showy Mustang in a car that looks like it was borrowed from your dad's garage. Ever wonder how many classic monsters are hiding in plain sight? Keep watching. There are some real shockers ahead. 9. 1975 Chrysler Cordova 400. When people think of the Chrysler Cordova, they think of rich Corinthian leather, not drag racing. But here's the truth. The Cordova could be ordered with a 400 cubic inch big block V8. While it was marketed as a personal luxury car, that engine gave it legit street muscle. Sure, it had opera windows, plush seats, and chrome everywhere. But once you mashed the gas pedal, it surprised more than a few cocky Camaros. The 400 made solid torque, and with the right tweaks, could run with much sportier competition. It looked more like something your aunt would drive to church, and that's what made it so deadly. Nobody expected it to be fast, and that's the whole sleeper philosophy. Performance where you least expect it. The Cordova was heavy, yes, but it was also smooth, quiet, and planted, making it a cruise missile in a velvet suit. One more to go, and it's a straight-up wagon that could smoke muscle cars. Yes, really. 10. 1970 Chevrolet Kingswood 454 wagon. You're not ready for this one. The 1970 Chevrolet Kingswood wagon could be optioned with a 454 LS5 V8, making it one of the most absurdly powerful family haulers ever built. Imagine lining up at a stoplight next to a 9-passenger station wagon with wood paneling, thinking it's just a family ride, only to get gaped by a car full of groceries. With over 360 horsepower and torque to tow a mountain, this behemoth could move, and move fast. The Kingswood was a full-size wagon with the heart of a Chevelle SS. If someone threw some wider tires on the rear and tuned the carb, it could leave performance coupes in the dust. It had room for the kids, the dog, the groceries, and a drag race trophy in the glove box. This was peak sleeper energy. Nobody expects a station wagon to be a threat, but Kingswood. It was a monster in disguise. Let's be real. The 1970s were full of forgotten gems that still make jaws drop when you really look under the hood. Whether it's a luxury Benz, a grandma's grocery getter, or a family wagon with a V8 from hell, sleeper cars are the definition of don't judge a book by its cover. If you're loving this trip down memory lane, smash that like button and drop your favorite sleeper car from any decade in the comments. And hey, subscribe for more hidden legends, forgotten horsepower, and the wildest rides history tried to hide from you. Because sometimes, the quietest cars roar the loudest. The 1970s were full of hidden gems like these. While everyone was focused on the big name, these under-the-radar machines were quietly rewriting the rules of street performance. And the best part, they're still out there, tucked away in garages, waiting to surprise the next challenger who underestimates them. If you enjoyed this deep dive into forgotten legends of the road, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more hidden car history, and hit that bell so you never miss the next episode. And hey, if you've got your own sleeper story, drop it in the comments. We might just feature it in a future video. Until next time, keep your engine tuned, your exhaust quiet, and your victories loud. This is Sketch, signing off.